I knew they were going to do this. I knew they were going to do this, y'all. I knew they were going to do this. And it's taking everything in me not to go crazy right now. This woman right here called a 5-year-old black autistic little boy the N-word and said that that it was justified because he was acting like one. Oh, Rochester. I'm just going to let y'all know. There has been over $250,000 that have raised to give her money after she called a black autistic child the N-word. There's people in the comment section on X justifying this behavior. I'm gonna put the video at the end of this at the end of this video. I'm gonna put the clip. Y'all, this is not okay. This is a 5-year-old child that's on the spectrum.
Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's you dumb.
Nobody digging through your
A little kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one? He's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's the hate speech.
Shalom. Welcome to another video. And as always, before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rach, and next double honors to the head apostles / elder bishops of the Great Millstone who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all you sincere Akim. Keep pushing, keep believing, and keep the faith, regardless of whether people hear or whether they forbear. So this is a quick reaction to the clip that I put in the introduction to this video. And pretty much to give you more details on the situation, it happened in Rochester, Minnesota, which is northern Minnesota. And an Edomite woman, she called a young black boy, an autistic boy, 5 years old, she called him the N-word. It was throwing racial slurs at him, okay? And I don't believe he's a Jake. That's why I said young black boy, all right? Because I believe he's actually a Hamite. I know I used to live up in Minnesota, and I know that there is a lot of Somalians up there, which mostly come from Kush, all right, which are Hamites. But, you know, in America, people don't, they assign your nation based off of your skin tone, okay, which is stupid. All right, but you know that's part of that deception of America, Babylon the Great, that Esau has put, that everybody who shares the same skin tone is of the same, seed line. But anyways, this is part of the ongoing feud, okay, between so-called black people and so-called white people in America. All right, and really, I want to go into the deeper points of it, okay, because it's not a feud between so-called black people and so-called white people. It's really a feud between Jacob and Esau, okay, with Jacob being the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and Esau being the so-called white man, all right? But not all so-called black people are Israelites, okay? Latinos, Native American Indians, not all of them are so-called Israelites, excuse me, and not all so-called white people are Edomites. So, there's a lot of confusion going on in America with this racial divide. All right, but we understand, okay, why it really is happening. It's because it's a feud between Jacob and Esau, okay? And that's what I'm going to talk about. That's what I'm going to touch on, is that ancient hatred between Jacob and Esau, going all the way back to that time of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So let's go ahead and dive right into that topic, all right? Yahweh wretches, I mean the Heavenly Father's will is edifying to the elect. All right, so I'm going to start off in Genesis, the 25th chapter, all right? In verse 19, it says, "And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Paddan Aram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai for his wife, because she was barren, and Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elders shall serve the younger." Okay, so this is prophecy being spoken right here. But okay, once again, all right, two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, two nations are in thy womb. A lot of people will say, well, how could they be twins and be two completely different nations? Well, it tells you right here. It says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Okay, the Edomites are descendants of Esau, but they're red because they lack pigmentation, so their blood shows through their skin. All right, this is the mark of what's known of as clean leprosy. All right, they're clean, leprous people. All right, and let's prove. Matter of fact, I'm not going to get it, but Numbers the 12th chapter. Okay, when Miriam was speaking against Moses, okay, the Lord plagued her with leprosy. Okay, and it said that her hands turned white as snow. All right, so anyways, continuing on. So lack of pigmentation is a form of leprosy in the Bible. But anyways, continuing on, Genesis 25 and 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old, 60, when she bare them. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. Okay, so just giving a description of their characteristics, personality traits. Esau liked to hunt, and Jacob just, was a plain man dwelling in tents, as it says. All right, and that spirit is on their descendants still to this day. Continuing on, verse 28, it says, and Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sod pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint, he was hungry. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Okay, Adam meaning red. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright to Jacob. So he sold his birthright to Jacob for pottage, for some soup. Verse 34, then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. And thus Esau despised his birthright. Okay, so that's the beginning of part of the enmity between Jacob and Esau. Right there, that's where it starts. Okay, and then it'll continue on. We'll go to Genesis the 27th chapter. All right, and in Genesis the 27th chapter, okay, it talks about how Jacob deceived his father Isaac to give the blessing that was supposed to be given to Esau. Okay, but this was according to prophecy. Remember, the elder should serve the younger. Okay, so it was really the plan of the Lord for this to happen. But let's go ahead and read about it. Genesis 27 and 1. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, my son. And he said unto him, behold, here am I. And he said, behold, now I am old, I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison, and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, bring me venison, and make me savory meat, that I may eat and bless thee before the Lord, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, okay, baby goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. Okay, so Rebekah was the one who set the plan up. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. Okay, and once again, still today, okay, Edomites are very hairy for the most part. Okay, and especially the so-called indigenous of which are the northern kingdom of the Israelites, and are known for not really being very hairy. Myself included, I don't grow body hair, I don't grow armpit hair, none of that. But anyways, continuing on, it says, verse 12, my father peradventure will feel me, and shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, upon me be thy curse, my son, Only obey my voice and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched and brought him to his mother, and his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her elder son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread which she hath prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. Who art thou, my son? Art thou my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. So Jacob pretended to be his brother. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are of the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother Esau's hands, and so he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelt the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field, which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore God give thee the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. So he put this blessing on Jacob. All right, and it says, And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, saying, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother Jacob, thy brother came with subtlety, and have taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. Okay, the first time was with the soup. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren that I have given him to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of the heaven from above. So he'd have the wealth. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Okay, and this actually happened during what's known as the time of the Dark Ages. And in previous times, okay, Jacob actually did rule over Esau, like during the time of King David and King Solomon. All right, but anyways, okay, continuing on. All right, and the key right there, one important point to notice is that he said what? That by thy sword shalt thou live. So that's their blessing, the blessing of the sword, and they use it. That's why they excel at killing. All right, verse 41 though. Okay, and here's where the ancient hatred really, started. It says, And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Okay, and this same spirit is on his descendants today, which is the reason why we see, their perpetual hatred for Jacob. Okay, but the end result of that can be found in Ezekiel 35th chapter. I'm not going to read it, but it tells you what the Lord is going to do because of the perpetual hatred that Esau has against Jacob. All right, so let's continue on. Okay, Sirach chapter 13 and verse 15. It says, every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. All flesh consorteth to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. What fellowship hath the wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the godly. What agreement is there between the hyena and a dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor? As the wild ass is the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor. As the proud hate humility, so doeth the rich abhor the poor. So two manners of people, okay, one righteous and one wicked. Jacob was created to be the righteous and to be the rulers of the final earth age, and Esau was created to be the wicked, okay, according to biblical prophecy. All right, so there's always going to be enmity between the two. All right, and I'll get this last one and close out. Sirach 33 and verse 10. It says, and all the men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth. In much knowledge the Lord hath divided them and made their ways diverse. Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them he sanctified and set near to himself, and that's talking about Jacob. But some hath he cursed and brought low and turned out of their places, and that's Esau. As in the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it at his pleasure, so is man in the hand of him that made him, to render to them as liketh him best. Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. Once again, Jacob versus Esau, and it's always going to be that way. All right, it says, verse 15, so look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against another. All right, so we're going to continue to see, so-called racial enmity, all right, racial tension in America, Babylon the Great, until it eventually boils over, and that final battle ensues of Jacob versus Esau. And according to prophecy, Jacob's going to win this time. Esau has always won because he's had the blessing of the sword. But this time, Jacob is going to win and is going to take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. But this is just, as I said before, this is just more, adding more fuel to the fire, for those civil wars that we always talk about, okay? But that's it. I'm going to close out. Yahweh righteous, I was edifying as always. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachodash. And until next time, Shalom, and abide Babal.